Hey everyone, thought I'd go ahead and make this into a part 2. You just saw me working on the fertilizer pump right there on the front of the planter. And so I grabbed the grease gun. Figured I'd go ahead and come on across here and grease up gauge wheels. Thankfully, the grease zerks are clean, so I don't even have to clean them off. That's one bad thing with this kind of grease. It's stringy like bubble gum. Okay, that's got those gauge wheels greased up. Well, we'll go ahead and hit the last one on this side. Okay, that's got that one. Now I'll go ahead and go across here. This is the seed drive shaft for the left-hand side. Take that back. This is the seed drive shaft for the left-hand middle for these two rows right here. Because it actually comes, the outside wing wheel is what drives the seed drive shaft. And so that one comes across, that I just greased, it comes across and runs these two rows right here. Looks like number 5 and number 6. And there's a break right there in the middle, and then number 6 and number 7, number 7, number 8. I'm getting my boxes mixed up. Yeah, number 7, number 8, they are driven from the right-hand side, just like it. So we got a U-joint right here. All right, that's got that one. Then it's got this little spring-loaded deal right here. It's got a big roll pin that drops into a notch. And so this here is all spring-loaded. That way, in case it doesn't line up, it can jump back and forth as it needs to in order to get that roll pin to fall into the notch. And yep, there it is. Grease gun just ran out. Nothing new. That's why I brought another tube with me. Well, you know what? It still has some grease on the top of it because the whole entire tube pushed out. It might be airlocked. Okay, that's got that. Let's go ahead and try on this gauge wheel. There we go. It's almost out, but it had an airlock into it. There we go. Okay. All right, there the gun just ran out. But, hey, it did half the planter. Got the first 6 done. Now, change out tubes and we'll go on, hit the next 6. Yeah, see what I mean? It's like bubble gum. We get this grease at Rural King, which is a farm supply store. There's quite a few here in Indiana, and well, let's see here. There's some in Ohio. I think they're actually headquartered out of Illinois. And I think there's some in Kentucky, maybe southern Michigan, and I think, well, let's see here. I think even Tennessee, there's a handful anyway. And it seems like just not too long ago, I saw on their Facebook page where they had actually opened up a new store out in Pennsylvania. But they're basically like a Tractor Supply. It's all kinds of farm related stuff, hunting gear, sporting goods, that kind of thing. Carhartt stuff, clothes, little bit of everything. It's actually kind of my favorite store. Especially since I don't like going to town a whole lot. For me, going to Rural King is kind of like old Jethro Clampett going to the big city. Okay, well, maybe not quite like Jethro, but you get the idea. I will say one thing, though. If you want to see some strange people, just go to Walmart. Whew. See all kinds of strangers there. Like my dad says, takes all kinds to make this big world go around. Okay, that's got that one. Tires are also a great thing to clean your hands off on. I do it all the time. They're self-cleaning. That's a tight one, kind of odd. But the grease came out around the U-joint, so I know we're good to go. And then, let's see here. Right back, I may actually have to do it once I actually fold the planter back up, but right back in there where this frame tube goes down and pivots, there's a grease circle on each side of the main frame. However, the way I'm sitting, only half unfolded, I can't really get to it very easily. And so I'll have to do that one once I get it folded back up. There we go. Okay, That's got that on that drive line. And now we'll just keep on jumping around here. I'll finish up the gauge wheels. And I also want to hit the fertilizer openers. Okay, that's got the last gauge wheel. Now I want to hit the fertilizer openers. I also have to hit the seed drive clutch that engages and disengages every time you raise and lower the planter up and down. And that's that thing right there. And then I also want to take and get these coaters right here. And there's one down on the back right there on that arm. Here several years ago, this marker right here broke off. You can see it where I welded across there. And if I remember right, Dad went to turn on the end, set back down and take back off again. And it just snapped right across there. And so that was a fun weld. I had to butt weld it. The marker's, well, 20 feet long. And so I had to butt weld right across there. I was able to put this plate on the bottom. There's somewhat of a plate on top, but I couldn't put any kind of plate here on the side because of the way it sits inside of here. And so neighbor gave me some suggestions. And as you can see, so far it's holding. And I don't see any kind of cracks into it. But what my neighbor told me to do was take a grinder, because that's pretty thick metal, grind right down and grind pretty deep into right where it's cracked, this piece and this part of the marker, right where you put that together at. Grind that down pretty deep. Go down through there with your welder, weld that part shut. Maybe back the heat of your welder off just a little bit. That way you don't blow clear through. But fill that up with weld, that grinder groove, and then come back on each side of it with your welder maxed completely out, full power, and weld on each side. And that way it literally binds the whole entire thing, both sides. It literally melts all back together again. So far, it's holding. And so that works. Now, usually on these fertilizer coaters, I don't, let's see here, I'm trying to remember. I usually grease these here about once a season because there's not really much movement in this. You can see that's a pretty heavy spring. And so these don't flex much at all, if any. Especially in our sandy ground. Okay. Try and find the Zerk somewhere. Now, on these clutches, we grease them every day. Try and scrape all that old dirty grease out of there with my fingers. Either every day and or approximately about every 80 acres. And so 2 of our fields are 120 acres apiece. And so generally what we'll do is we'll do about half the field and stop. And mainly, the main thing we go after are the clutches, and there's several grease zerks on the pumps. However, I will not grease the pumps up until after I get those back plates that I showed you on part 1. Once I get the back plates on, then I'll go through and grease them up. Oh boy. Kind of a tight squeeze underneath here. Trying to find the other 2 zerks. Oh boy. I don't know how well you can see that from down there, because I'm kind of crouching underneath this thing trying to find the... Okay, I got one more zerk to hit. There we go. Okay. It's got the clutch for the right hand side anyway. Okay, I gotta grab me a grease rag. There we go. But that's getting the planter all greased up. I'd say that's probably a good spot to end this video at. I just got to finish up the left-hand side here. It's just identical to the right hand. Hit that clutch, and I'll probably fold this planter up and try to get the semi back or put back here inside the shed if I can get enough room. And so yeah, that's getting the planter ready to go for springtime. Take care.